So I watched the Friendship Game the other day and I loved it. I
Right.
thought it was like the perfect amount of like trippy with like horror, and it was great.
No, I appreciate that. That's great. Thank you.
Um, can you explain a little bit about how you came to be the director for this project?
Sure. Yeah. Originally, I'd finished my second feature, and which is it's called Hollow in the Land. It is a small town thriller, and I was really looking to get deeper into genre, and I was looking for something kind of weird. So I sent some texts out, and one of them was to Dan Beckerman, who is our producer, one of our producers. Yeah, and he said, I have something just for you. And he sent me the Friendship Game, and I instantly sort of fell for it because it was, by the time I finished reading it, I was like, I'm not 100% sure what's going on. So I had to read it again, get prepped to then meet Damien Ober, the writer. And then, yeah, we really hit it off. We had the same references, and I just think he's such a cool guy. So yeah, I was hooked on the story and then on the team, and yeah, I arrived with it.
That's awesome.
And they liked me enough to give me the chance, so that's great.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Um, in your director's statement, you mentioned that you are really interested in the monster within.
Mhm.
How did that kind of play into how you approached filming this movie?
Yeah, it's sort of in my statement as well. I talk about I do love a good creature feature, but the monster within the really takes sort of a horror movie and elevates it a little bit when the horror is coming from a place of character. That those are my favorites. And I think with this one, everything sort of revolved around, if your friendships don't survive the game, neither do you. Um, so it all comes from that character piece, and it comes from those very personal sort of wounds that come to the forefront, um, and cause some havoc on the whole story. So I think what we were a good part of how we crafted that was to do the cyclical format where you get everybody's different perspective, and really trying to sort of hide information as best as we can, and decide which things are going to be paid off and which things are going to be set up and where they land. I mean, it took a long time in post to really kind of build that through, but we really excited to where we landed.
You should be, you should be.
Thank you.
I went into this movie thinking that it was going to be very much like an ensemble movie, but there is a main character,
Hmm.
Peyton's character. So with a story like this that is very circular, why was it important for you to still have like a singular main character?
Yeah, I think the narrative itself is purposely obtuse. It is meant to not necessarily give you all the information and have you create an active viewer who is actively participating in sort of discovering information and trying to decipher what's going on. So in order to keep the audience grounded, where they can have a journey beginning to end, I think you need that emotional core, which is the Peyton character, which is the Zuza character.
Mm.
She becomes the core that you can grasp onto. So all the other craziness and all the weirdness and all the sci-fi and all the horror can sort of just work with that one grounded piece. So you can be confused as long as you understand that lead character that's guiding you through the movie. That's why there's a lead character. I think it's really important to have that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it became very apparent once we're in post to just how important it was to kind of hide certain details from her or from the audience about her. So you're always kind of following her emotional journey, and you're always wanting more of her emotional journey while all this craziness is happening. Because then you can do whatever you want, basically. Not whatever you want, but within reason that
Yeah,
that works for the narrative, you can kind of really push the weirdness.
that's really cool. Um, and with all of the characters, I really liked the glitches in reality that were happening.
Mm.
Um, what kind of went into making those decisions and then other decisions around the like glitches in reality?
Yeah. What Damien Ober and I were discussing, who's the writer, Damien Ober, very early on, was this idea of sort of like a digital Gothic movie, where it does feel like the ghosts are digital. You know, everybody's interacting with their phones. There's a lot of video play. There's screens. You know, we are playing in the universe that is this digitized universe, and it is teenagers now, so everything is digitized anyways. So we really thought, like, how can we sort of craft this idea of the digital Gothic through what our sci-fi is going to do, what our horror is going to do, and then built out that sort of glitchy look, like data moshi, glitchy sort of vibe with how they're, you know, transitioning between all these different multiverses, as we've coined, the alternate universes. So yeah.
Nice. And with like everyone's affected by technology with our phones and everything. So was it always the plan for the core group to be high schoolers, or did you play around with other age groups as well?
High school was always important. And the reasoning behind that is, you know, when you're in high school, when you're a teenager, your friends are your lifeline. They are everything. Your parents don't understand you. The school is oppressive on you. And when all of those people then separate and go to other schools or colleges or across the country, whatever it might be, you know, the stakes then become, they feel like they're life and death when you're a teenager, because you're so full of hormones. It's your first time actually separating as well, right? Always working in absolutes. Like, there's just, it's such a tough time. So starting a horror movie from that spot, and instead of it feeling like it's life and death, is making it life and death. So then the metaphor actually works across the board. And again, the horror comes from that place of character. So it always sort of wanted to be high school kids for that reason, for sure.
Gotcha. Thank you. The game itself was really interesting looking, because I didn't realize it moved until it like bit Zuza.
Yeah.
Was that something that was practically made, or was it FX? Like, can you explain
Yeah. Yeah, we had so many, it was written in the script to be this sort of like orb that was made of different materials. And then deciphering that took a long time. But luckily we had our production designer, Richard Simpson, sort of is fascinated with ancient civilizations. So he crafted this idea that there's, you know, interlocking layers, each with a language, you know, based on Latin or Aramaic or whatever it might be, these ancient languages, and each one has its own. And we kind of made up our own language, and then it was all 3D printed, and they all move. So I've got one in my office that moves, and I want to get a couple more printed. They're expensive, but they're so cool. Yeah, we kind of walked away from a meeting with Richard being like, holy shit, we found it. Like, that's it. That's the thing. And then he found a really good 3D printing team here, and we got them all designed. It is cool. It's legitimately cool. Like, I love that object. Yeah.
That's great. All right. If people want to stay up to date with you, your projects, things like that, are you on social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's probably, my parents gave me the name Scooter Corkle, so I've been kind of like, I haven't found anybody else with the same name, so I basically got at Scooter Corkle from everywhere. So really, you know, track me on Instagram is probably the best place to look. And I'm on Facebook and all those sort of things. But yeah, at Scooter Corkle, scootercorkle.com. I got all those things because nobody else has them. So, and hopefully me saying that doesn't mean somebody's going to scoop it and then try and sell me something, sell me my name back. But yeah, Instagram's probably the best place. I'm on Twitter, but I never use it.
Gotcha. All right. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to add about the friendship game?
I mean, just a good shout out to the cast. how great they are in the movie, and Peyton, how sort of real she is. I think she's kind of pushed herself further than what her fans think, or what her fans have seen. So I think it's going to be really exciting for them. And yeah, it's got a good vibe. I don't know. It's got a really nice vibe from our cinematographer, Farhad Kaderi. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to add. All good things. We had fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. Again, I love the movie and I wish you the best.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Beth.